1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, it's the Hake Report, the Hake Report, la la la. Oh, it's the Hake Report, the Hake Report, la la la.
Hey guys!
Oh, it's the Hake Report, the Hake Report, la la la. Oh, it's the Hake Report, the Hake Report, la la la.
So, what's up guys? I am James Hake. This is the Hake Report, and I have some interesting information from you. Well, you know that conservative talk radio host, the second best one on in the nation next to Jesse Lee Peterson. Actually, the third best next to Jesse and Hake, right? Rush Limbaugh drew bipartisan means rhino criticism Thursday for saying the country won't elect Pete Buttigieg. I don't know how he pronounces the name, but that's how Trump pronounces it, and that's how he's said to pronounce it, Buttigieg. Because he's been kissing his husband, quote unquote, on stage after debates, Democrat debates. They're saying, okay, how's this going to look? Limbaugh said on Wednesday, a couple days ago. I'm getting this from GOP USA Eagle. So they're quoting Limbaugh as saying, they're saying, okay, how's this going to look? Referring to Pete Buttigieg, or as Jesse calls him, I'll let you remember what Jesse calls him. He said that on Wednesday, imagining Democrats thinking, meaning the voters thinking. 37-year-old gay guy kissing his husband, and I use that on quotes, I'm directly quoting Limbaugh, on stage next to Mr. Man, Donald Trump. And that's a good point. Trump is like just a man. You see him as a man. When you saw him on stage with all the rhinos that he knocked out, including conservatives that we thought were conservative, we used to think that Rand Paul was a principled libertarian sort of conservative guy. Ended up slightly rhino at times. We thought that, well, some of you guys thought, I thought that Ted Cruz was a principled, strong conservative. He looked like a little boy next to Trump, a fake politician. And just imagine how Trump will look standing next to, well, really any of the Democrats, but a homosexual kissing his so-called husband. But of course, it's ridiculous because Rush Limbaugh is getting, according to Associated Press, the far left AP, extremist outlet, Associated Press, disgusting outlet. They pretend to be objective journalists, and they do have some factual information that they put out sometimes, but they are leftist activists, and they are promoting homosexuality like nothing else. His comments, oh, by the way, I don't know if I mentioned, Rush Limbaugh last week or 2 weeks ago announced he had advanced lung cancer. I think stage 3, something like that. Maybe stage 4, actually. And he was honored by President Trump, rightly so, deservedly so, for his 30 years on radio and 30 years fighting for the country, fighting for what's right, telling the truth when the media won't. With a Medal of Freedom award, with the First Lady standing next to him during the State of the Union address, with millions watching. Right on, rightly deserved that. And it's crazy. It's crazy. He got decades of tireless devotion to our country, and that's true. Rush Limbaugh. So that's nice. That's nice that he told the truth. But Buttigieg did not directly address Limbaugh's remarks because he caught wind of, I guess, at a town hall in Las Vegas last night, Thursday night. He said, "I'm proud of my marriage. I'm proud of my husband." Makes you want to spit or throw up or roll your eyes. I should be saying "and," right? And shake your head and wonder, well, not wonder, but just consider how far America has fallen. What a shame. And I do have some more. I may have some more diamonds. Did you read the last super chats on the JC show? Treasure chest and all that? I don't think so. Okay. I may try to get to some of those diamonds. But right on to Rush Limbaugh, and they're pretending like this is a serious, like a good thing. Pete Buttigieg is my age. He's 38. Gross. How can anyways, whatever. Maltrea S asks, that should not matter, Hake. What do you mean? Or says that. What do you mean? I don't know what you mean by that. But anyways, guys, you know, before I make an announcement and get to calls, let me see if I can just rush through this story. Because I basically told this story on the J.C. Lee Peterson show, on which I read Hake News. From the New York Post, this Indian guy, meaning from India, hanged himself after mistakenly believing he had coronavirus. Weak-minded people, grown men, overreacting to, I don't know what you call this, but hysteria. So, what an idiot. 50-year-old man, father, married man, I think, in India, was supposedly trying to protect his family from himself, from his sick self. Because he got sick, right? His name was K. Bala Krishna. Letter K was his first initial. Bala, B-A-L-A, Krishna, which isn't that one of those Hindu god things, was treated by doctors in Tirupati for a viral fever, but assured he did not have the deadly disease that has killed more than 1,350 people worldwide. Mainly in China, I think. According to the Times of India. This was a story shared by Times of India. Despite doctors' assurances, this man, Mr. Krishna, began watching videos on the virus on his mobile phone and became convinced, stay away from the cell phones, became convinced that he had been infected, according to the newspaper Times of India. And here's a quote from his son. I don't know how old his son is. My father watched coronavirus-related videos the whole day on Monday and kept saying he had similar symptoms. His son Bala Murali told the Times, he attacked us when we tried to tell him that he did not suffer from the deadly disease. Idiot. Murali said that he even called a government-sponsored helpline, but was told there was nothing to worry about because his father had not recently visited China. Which is the epicenter of that plague, right? On Tuesday, Krishna locked his family in their home. I don't know how you do that. And then went into his mother's gravesite, which is a bad sign. By the time his family was able to notify neighbors to come free them, Krishna, I don't understand, Indians, why do you have your houses like that? Krishna had hanged him, it says hung himself, I think it's hanged himself, from a tree near his mother's grave, according to the newspaper. Sounds like he had other problems, but this pushed him over the edge. I don't know. I think the media is evil, too. The media promotes this. Nick says it's both hung and hanged. Appreciate that. He hung and hanged himself. But what an idiot, man. Anytime somebody commits suicide, that's the word that comes to my mouth. Maybe it's because I hung out with friends who react that way, and I think that that's the proper reaction. People get crazy. Probably got sick of his marriage, according to Peter. I don't know. That could be too, but that's a shame. So, before I get to calls, I want to make an announcement. Hake's doing an interview tonight. Nice, right? I'm not hosting the interview. I'm appearing on an interview as a guest, and it's an honor. I'm going on Azzmador's Friday night podcast show on D-Live, 7 p.m. Los Angeles time, which is 10 Eastern. Figure it out if you're in Australia or Great Britain or UK or Sweden or Russia or Mountain Time or Central Time. Okay, it's 8 Mountain Time. 9 Central, 10 Eastern. I know those ones. If you're on Alaska or Hawaii, you got to figure that out too. Anyways, I'm getting out of control. Let's face it, by the way, it's called the Crypto Report. The Crypto Report with a K. TKR. And let's face it, C is just an unnecessary letter. K is where it is. Kind of like the Hake report. I'm showing you, Joel is showing you pictures from his About section, legendary About section on his D Live channel. So he does White Wednesday, TKR Live. White Wednesday, TKR Live Friday night special. That's the one I'm on. And he does a TKR Live, the Crypto Report, Saturday night special. Nice, huh? And then he has the Crypto Report. He has his Telegram. You can follow him on Telegram, which is a great platform where people are not being banned yet, except for some. I know one person who was banned. I'll get to that. And the Wrecking Crew with Hate Farmer, Tony Castle, Beard the Butcher. Check it out. Follow Azzmador. My introduction, by the way, this man, Azzmador, dlive.tv/Azzmador, capital AZZMADOR, Azzmador. He supports Jesse Lee Peterson. He supports me, the Hake Report. He's interviewed Jesse Lee Peterson just, I think, past November or something like that. And I'll have the link to it on my Hake Report podcast blog post thing that you can find later this afternoon, later a few hours from now, right, on thehakereport.com. And he also co-hosted a prior interview of Jesse Lee Peterson a couple of years before that, a couple of years ago, maybe 3 years ago, before when he didn't really know Jesse. And my actual introduction to Azzmador was by that leftist propaganda documentary, and I have a couple of screenshots from it. Vice, HBO Vice magazine, which was founded by Gavin McInnes, but now it's like out of control leftist. They did a Vice/HBO so-called documentary, which usually just means propaganda, hit piece against the alt-right, with that dumb white reporter woman. I have those pictures. Show the shots of him. And look at this. They call him Robert Azzmador Ray, and they call him a neo-Nazi. That's how you know Vice and HBO are fake news, as is most of the liberal media, because I've never heard him refer to himself as a neo-Nazi. I ask all these people, are you a neo-Nazi? And they say no. And so why do the liberal media take the liberty to call people something that they don't even call themselves? And he's part of the Daily Stormer website, which was also banned from most of the internet. And there's a shot of him next to Christopher Cantwell from that Vice documentary, saying something strong, making some strong statements. So, right on. That's Azzmador. And you see him next to Christopher Cantwell, whom I interviewed on my show, The Hake Report, a year ago or maybe 2 years ago. And that interview is unsearchable. And Cantwell said not very fiery, not very inflammatory things on my show, yet you can't find it. You can't search it. But this documentary by Vice is quite easily findable. It got 4 million views. Not that I'm jealous, it's just that they play favorites, you know, to the liberals, to the establishment, to the corporate world. You know, somebody said that Joker, this Joker movie that came out, was a good movie. I think, did you like it?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so some people really liked this Joker movie, right? And I was just thinking, what if, like a person, like Joel and I got together and we made a movie, and it was the same plot as Joker, and we say we did it before Joker came out, and it was the same plot, everything. Do you think that that would go out freely on YouTube, or would it be like they would say, oh, this is not safe for all audiences? You have to click to say, okay, yes, I want to see it. And it won't show up in searches. Don't you think that would happen?
You mean like there'd be some kind of
Like,
shadow ban?
Yeah, there'd be like a serious, like outright. If it's not like deleted from YouTube by YouTube,
Right.
it would be like censored heavily.
An issue, yeah.
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 Because they favor these big companies and they actually trust them to be properly leftist and politically correct, which is evil. So, same thing with Vice interviewing these guys as opposed to me or Jesse Lee Peterson interviewing these guys. What a shame. So I'm looking forward to talking with Azzmador. That'll be cool. Tonight. Let me get to some calls, and then I may have the time to get to some more news for you guys. Let's see. Ryan, out of Concord, California. Ryan, what's up?
What's going on, Hake? How are you?
Fine. How about you? Good to hear from you.
All is well, yeah. I was actually going to talk to you about something I wanted to talk to Jesse about, but I thought about it. I think I'm going to save it for Monday.
Okay. Sounds good.
But I wanted to talk about Mayor Bloomberg.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts about him? Do you know much?
I don't know much. I just know that this 77-year-old Michael Bloomberg, as Jesse pointed out, is Jewish. He's not a normal white person. 77 years old, billionaire. I think $70 billion he has. And he could spend up to $10 billion. I don't know. I know that he's been spending major money on advertising. He jumped in this Democrat race, I don't know, not long ago. Hasn't participated in any debates. And he, I know that he's been a kiss up to the climate change hysteria people. I know he used to be a Republican. He was a Republican mayor of New York City. And I heard that he was an okay mayor, not as good as Giuliani. And I don't know much about that. And I know that he bought a Super Bowl ad against the Second Amendment under the pretense of like gun safety or something like that. And so he's a slime, and he has smeared Trump. I know that Trump ripped him as a 5'4" massive dead energy. And that's a nice
when you start
description.
attacking someone's height, that's really that's really degrading, and I love it.
Yeah. And then Michael Bloomberg hit back and called Trump, which is this is ridiculous. Listen to this. A carnival barking clown. I'm getting this from Drudge headlines. I will defeat you. Please. This guy is deluded if he thinks he's going to beat Trump, or let alone get the nomination. I mean, I would be a bit surprised if he got the nomination. What do you say?
I've been watching a lot of Fox News, and so I have two comments on him. The first comment I wanted to talk about was I actually disagree with conservatives and other people like Sean Hannity who are attacking Mayor Bloomberg for making a true statement when Mayor Bloomberg basically had a tape released that said that he was saying stop and frisk happens to too many white people, which is actually statistically true.
Yeah.
Larry Elder went on Sean Hannity's show. Do you know who Larry Elder is?
Yeah, he's been on
Black,
to one of the
conservative.
Yeah, he was in one of the men's conferences recently.
Oh, nice. Yeah. So basically, Sean Hannity started getting really mad at Mayor Bloomberg for making quote unquote racist comments.
Right.
And I agree with Sean Hannity on most things, but I definitely disagreed with him on this. And Larry Elder laid into Sean Hannity and said 98% of all the stop and frisks that were successful, that we caught people who had drugs or other things on them, 98% were people of color, minorities and blacks. It's just a statistical true statement. So I think a lot of these conservatives and right-wingers who are hopping on this he's a racist bandwagon are doing it to appeal to the left, and it actually doesn't help our cause.
You're completely right.
And that's my first comment on Mike Bloomberg. The second comment is...
Hold on. I don't tell the whole story because Bloomberg is walking back that stuff. He's like, I apologized for stop and frisk. So that's what they should be attacking him for. And that's what, sane people should be
he not only he shouldn't apologize, and the conservatives should not be calling him racist.
Exactly.
I think this actually hurts him from both sides.
Yep.
He's not going to gain any support from any side by backing down. If he would have just said, well, when I was mayor, these were the statistics, and he just laid out the facts, it would have been fine.
He would have gotten the alt-right voting for him. You know, anyone of the alt-right who were, let's say, disillusioned or illusioned about angry at Trump.
Sure.
A lot of those guys would vote for him, and a lot of people who just respect the honesty.
Right.
And there are some out there, even among the Democrats, I think.
But that's why Bernie has so much support, is because he's blatantly honest. He doesn't scoot around the bush. Yeah. He doesn't retract anything. And that's the second point that I was going to make, was Bernie Sanders is rising so much in the poll, and Joe Biden is going down in the polls, that I'm seeing a lot of Democrats now starting to back Bloomberg, because he seems like, because the whole thing for the Democrats is who can beat Trump. It's not who's a good president for the country. It's who can beat Donald Trump. Yeah. And I personally would love to see two New York billionaires just like make fun of each other on a debate stage the whole time instead of a theological debate between capitalism and socialism. I don't think Bernie Sanders is going to win the ticket. I think it's going to be Bloomberg. I really do.
Interesting. All right.
He's paying. He has already hired over, I think, 2,400 staffers. He's paying them all like $80,000 a year, like some buku money. He's also paying people to just protest Donald Trump, like $80 an hour if you want to stand outside and protest Trump. Like, he's actually making America like work again. It's crazy.
You know, he's buying up all these. He's paying for memes to be created and spreading a bunch of memes. I heard. You know, it's just part of his campaign. I didn't hear that one. Yeah, at least I think.
Interesting.
Yeah, Bloomberg campaign pays social media accounts for memes. Isn't that interesting?
I'm not really like for any Democrats, but if I was going to say I want to see a Democrat run against Trump, I would love to see Bloomberg. Like,
interesting.
Two straight white male billionaires would make the country so upset.
Yeah. You know, man, he's so boring though. He's just in person. I respect how successful he is, I guess. I don't know how he did that, but he's not a compelling person. Actually, none of the Democrats are, honestly. But anyways, man, interesting.
For sure.
Appreciate it, Ryan.
Yeah.
Thanks, man. Take care.
Sounds perfect. Later.
Bye. Let me get to, hold on, guys. Mike out of San Antonio, Texas. Mike, what's up?
Hey, how you doing, James?
Doing fine.
That's good. I didn't want to. I know your call screener asked about. You know, I was talking about something that happened on Brother Jesse's show, but I think this is important, especially for Valentine's Day.
Yes.
How he handled that call was beautiful. With the gentleman got online with his wife.
Yeah.
How he expressed where it's the man's role to be the leadership.
Right.
And you need to listen to your husband, even if it's another man that agrees somewhat with your husband. You listen to your husband.
Yes.
Know?
Yeah, I love that call. If you're just tuning into the Hake Report, you didn't hear Jesse today. It was in the second hour or the third hour. Jesse Lee Peterson took a call from a Stacy and Ruben, and they were talking about. It was interesting because it's so common that the wife. It was the third. I guess it was the beginning of the third hour. The wife, so commonly, and the mother, and across the board, no matter what religion. Or if they love Jesse or hate him, they are pushing their stuff on the husband and the kids, and they think that they're about the truth, but they get caught up. And it's so common for women and men to do this too, beta men, right? But women to get into like the ego of some type of knowledge and like bash people over the head with it and not even realize that that's what they're doing. It is so it's such a female thing, and it's such a fallen state female thing. And you're right; they gotta still respect the man, even if he is not agreeing with something that is true or whatever. You're right, Mike, and appreciate it. Happy Valentine's Day, to all the ladies.
Oh yeah, definitely. And I was going to say this, and I hate it, but I'm going to contrast that with this. And I think people can fall into a habit of doing things. Your favorite caller.
Yeah, Maze.
I don't believe she has a husband. Personally, it didn't make sense for 20 years of call and get another man's advice, even if you agree with him. and not have your husband be the main one that give you advice, and especially according to her husband doesn't even agree with him. That's like me and my wife calling Louis Farrakhan for 20 years and saying, trying to convince him. There's no way in the world that's going to happen. Plus, that's a total disrespect for me for her to do that. Even if she agreed with the man, that was a total disrespect.
Wow. I had never really considered that.
And I think we do a disservice by just letting her talk and never even pushing her back on her husband. I think, let me use a little Spanish here. El pregunto mucho a veces. Brother Jesse always says, "What about,
where's your husband?
Where's your husband?"
Right.
So that's just, I don't believe this guy exists, but by the less than 1% probability that they do, we're disrespecting him totally by not constantly pushing her back on him. And
that's a good point.
Get in man's business, basically what she's doing.
All right. I appreciate that feedback, Mike. I heard somebody who was purportedly her husband on the radio one time. She did put him on at least once. And I actually believed that it was her husband. I think that she might, and people are in such a fallen state that the husband just lets it happen. But it is a little bit of a false equivalence to compare it to, like, if your wife were to call Louis Farrakhan to try to debunk him, because Jesse is telling the truth, and I bet you both of them, if she does have a husband, both she and her husband know it. So there's a difference in the true authority there. But you're right. We do need to call her out on her husband and herself too. That's a fair point, Mike.
It's a total disrespect if he exists. I still am not convinced. I'm from dating. You can pay some wino to pretend he's your husband.
Yeah.
All right.
But honestly, Mike, just answer this quick question. Would you be, given how far males across all races have fallen, would you really be that surprised to hear that a man would allow his wife to follow Jesse and listen and call in for 20 years? Would you really be surprised that a man would be so weak?
Oh my! I don't want to believe it, but I know it could be possible.
Yeah.
I know it could be possible. That's a scary thought because I'm assuming about my age, as age also.
True. That's a fair point.
Yeah, but I think that could happen. But I'm just saying, on the perspective from men,
right?
We as men, we're still disrespecting him by not.
Yeah.
We almost ignore him like he doesn't exist.
I know.
I don't believe he does.
I keep forgetting.
You know that she's not going to listen to him if he does exist. So you ignore him.
Right. She just talks about God's law all the time.
Yeah. Well, she'll call and then rag. But anyway, I'm just saying that was that was for me the major argument, disagreements that my wife had been on this point where she's listening to another man,
right,
or to a woman instead of listening to me, and coming back and telling me such and such told her. I don't really want to hear that.
Right.
That's
true.
Good. Even if I agree with him, that's fine. But you don't need to go to him. You married me.
Yep. Appreciate it, Mike.
All right. You take care.
You as well. Bye.
All right.
Wow. Let me get to Mari Uvaldo.
Yeah, we go.
Out of Vallejo, California. Mari, what's up?
Hey, Jay, what's going down?
Nothing much. How about you?
I just want to announce that today is my 15-year anniversary with me and my husband, Angel.
Wow. Mari Uvaldo and your husband, Angel Uvaldo.
Yes.
This song is for you. Happy anniversary to ya. Happy anniversary to ya. Happy anniversary. That was a little off key, but it's still good. Happy anniversary to ya. Mari and Angel, or I should say Angel and Mari, as the man comes first.
Yes.
Happy anniversary and happy Valentine's Day to Mari. That's cool.
Same to you, James. Thank you so much.
Nice. 15 years.
Yesterday was 15 years. Yesterday was my sister's 46th birthday, and then my daughter's was on the 7th.
Wow. So to your sister and your daughter,
I got a lot
happy birthday.
Thank you.
Nice. That is cool.
And happy Valentine's to you and Joelle.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Right on. Thanks for the call.
You're welcome. You guys have a good weekend. It was nice talking to you.
All right. You as well. Take care.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye. Before I get to more calls, let me just remind you guys, I am live in what do I call this? It's not, well, never mind. I'm live at 7 a.m. Los Angeles time, 10 Eastern on Azzmador's D-Live show. So go to dlive.tv/Azzmador. dlive.tv/Azzmador. Azzmador. 7 p.m. Tonight. 7 p.m. Pacific time, which is Los Angeles time, right? Very nice. So you'll get to hear me, and you get to hear Azzmador, and maybe some other people. It'll be fun. Let me get to Hot Computer Smell out of Virginia. Hot Computer Smell, the night rider from a sundown town.
You got that right. No. So
Nice
the
to hear
guy
from
called. Oh, thank you. So I wanted to touch on a few points that Chris made. Like he called in yesterday talking, about, and I want to approach this in the most respectful way, I guess.
Okay, yeah,
But,
Chris from Los Angeles is the veteran. He called maybe his parents Mexican-American, and he got offended at the question, or he didn't appreciate the question, why didn't you stay in Mexico? Which was a viral video that we played from Michigan about a school, about a Mexican father who was complaining about racism that his child experienced. So, yeah, go for it.
So, he called in and said that, Mexicans will come to the country and they'll assimilate and everything.
Right.
Well, at least from my experience, I haven't really seen that too much. At least around the Mexicans or the Latin Americans that I'm around, everyone has their abuelita that only speaks Spanish, and you really can only go to events with her because you have to translate what she's trying to say and be her interpreter.
Yeah,
is what I usually notice. And even on TV shows, they take pride in their heritage and our culture and everything. So I wouldn't exactly call that assimilation, but maybe that's just my definition of it.
Yeah,
that's not the real one.
True, and they continue to vote socialist.
I mean, yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
It's like when a woman or whoever gets out of a bad relationship and then she talks about how bad it was,
right?
Not realizing she's the one who was the one that was bad about it, and then gets into the next relationship and ruins that one.
Yeah.
But that's usually what I see.
Yeah, that's a fair point. That's an interesting parallel.
What I've also noticed is that when you criticize something about his race in particular, he's like, well, every race does that, or everyone joins, the military for the benefits. It always seems like when there's a criticism, he wants to kind of lay it off on everyone else. That seems to be a thing that a lot of people do,
right?
Especially minorities and blacks and stuff like that.
Yeah,
they'll just be like, everyone does that. Everyone robs and steals,
Right.
But then I don't think that he would respect it too much if you said something positive, our ancestors came here and served in the military and died for this country. Well, you could easily say, okay, a lot of whites that serve too. Well, everyone serves and dies for this country.
Yeah.
And I mean, of course, there's not a lot of, everyone in the military, they're not always active duty. They're not always on the field.
True.
Risking their lives. So it's not just because you join the military, not to say that I don't respect our service members, but just because you join the military doesn't mean you should have these virtue points by default.
Right.
But I mean, another thing is, as far as what the guy that was complaining about his son being bullied, he was like, you can't assume this guy's status, you can't assume this and that about the guy, but then he jumped to conclusions about the white guy that said that he should have stayed in Mexico.
Yeah, he called him
he assumed his politics.
Yep.
He assumed, right. But he didn't want you to assume anything about the Mexican guy.
Yeah.
But and then as far as just going back to my last point when you said, anything negative, he assigns it to someone else. But as far as something positive, I want to bring up a interesting point that I found out about earlier this week that I thought you would bring up.
Okay.
But, of course, Ilhan Omar endorses Bernie Sanders. That's who she wants to win the nomination.
Yes.
Well, just recently on Twitter, she endorsed this bill. Well, she then supported this bill where it can make the GI Bill available to everyone, not just veterans.
What?
So, exactly. So when he was talking about positive stuff that veterans do, and veterans have done while serving, just like, somebody could write that off, like they're literally trying to do that. Like, I think Bernie Sanders is the one who proposed it. I can't exactly find the name of the bill. I've been trying, but I can't find it.
Okay.
So it's like, you've worked hard for those benefits, but then everyone else could be the beneficiaries for those benefits as well. It doesn't matter. Like, Ilhan Omar is in support of it. I'm not sure if it's like, still trying to go through, but honestly, I think that's an insult to people who do serve for those. So I just thought I should bring that up, instead of being upset with you and what you said about, the Mexican guy or whatever, which everyone has their own story. Like, you don't know how the guy got here. Like, you don't know his story, so you shouldn't instantly identify with it just because you're Mexican or you happen to be Latino.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, he looked into the guy and he found out that he built his business or something like that here and has been here for however long. But it doesn't say anything about it doesn't say anything about his character. He's still wrong for complaining and complaining to adults about his children crying about supposedly being bullied. And I don't even know if his story is true. You don't know anything about the level of honesty. There's a lot of slimy business owners. Doesn't mean that they're of good character. So you're right.
Right. That's exactly true. And I mean, just like that guy has a separate story from another person, like there's Mexicans or, Latinos or anyone from, but especially with Latinos, they'll be here for like 10 or 20 years and still speak strong Spanish and don't learn like a lick of English.
Right.
So as far as assimilation goes, I'm not exactly sure. I mean, we're all diverse or whatever, but for the most part, all of our official legal documents are in English. So I would think that you'd want to learn that if you're in this country.
Yeah.
But anyway, that's all I really wanted to say. And as a side note, I think Earl owes me a new computer because I took his advice and sprayed some Febreze, and now my computer's destroyed. So, just have him hop on that.
All right. Will do. If we hear from him, I think he might have tried to call, but yeah, it's been a little while since we've heard from him, but I will alert him that he owes you. Thank you, Hot Computer Smell. I appreciate it.
Okay, you take
Very
care.
good points. Take care.
Mm-hmm. Thanks.
Yeah. And so, Chris, she knocked it down for you. But anyways, I know that you wouldn't be for Ilhan Omar. I'm quite sure, right, Chris, that you wouldn't be for Ilhan Omar or Bernie Sanders. You better not be. I've known some I grew up with Hispanics. I thought they just had good tans. And Asians, I did not think that they were white because you can tell that they're Asians. But a lot of them are falling for that Bernie Sanders crap, the socialist crap. And the stupid liberal media is too. They're pretending that, democratic socialist is different. No, it's not. And you know what's funny? I saw this Drudge headline. James Carville, I'm assuming this is James Carville. Yeah, James Carville, he's like a longtime Clinton supporter, slimy guy. I've heard a funny story of Jesse Lee Peterson seeing him over at Nashville Politicon this past year, 2019, and saying, 4 more years, he's going to be reelected, President Trump. And Carville just got mad. But James Carville, I don't know what happened with Bernie Sanders, but he fires back at Bernie for some reason. I don't know why. But he's all, at least I'm not a communist. That's James Carville. That is a Clinton guy, a Democrat, and he's too old to be a Democrat, honestly, and too old to be, and too white, by the way, to be wearing, actually nobody should be wearing a bow tie, I think. Especially not blacks or whites. And I'll tell you why later. But he says, at least I'm not a communist. And I'm like, you might as well be. You're a Democrat. Democrats are basically communists now. And what's the difference? You're just pretending not to be a communist. But it's just, you basically are. Because the whole liberal media is not for free speech. They're not for this First Amendment. They don't have the spirit of the First Amendment, wherein they let people speak their mind and don't attack them just because they disagree. They just smear people, smear whites especially, which is a very communist tactic, because whites are the most pro-freedom demographic by per capita. Most of the voters vote for freedom. Yeah, you could sucker them into voting for, you know, rhinos every now and then or most of the time maybe. Like George W. Bush, we got suckered. Mitt Romney, we got suckered. Luckily, he lost. And Obama woke us up to just how evil people are, particularly Obama and everybody who supported him. And then thank God we got Trump. So, by the way, Trump tweeted, "I'm seeing Governor Cuomo today at the White House." And I forget why, but he said he must understand that national security far exceeds politics. New York must stop all of its unnecessary lawsuits because they are suing Trump, and harassment because they're doing all kinds of nasty, evil stuff against Trump. And start cleaning itself up and lowering taxes. Build relationships, but don't bring Frito. And that Frito reference is Chris Cuomo's new nickname. And it may not be that new of a nickname, but, you know, I referenced Rush Limbaugh. I believe Rush Limbaugh is the one who calls Chris Cuomo Frito. And Frito is a reference to, many of you probably already know this, maybe better than I do, but Frito is a reference to The Godfather, right? Short for Alfredo. Alfredo. It's an Italian kind of gangster name, and I guess in The Godfather, Frito was the weak, ineffective little brother gangster who couldn't get anything done. I don't know. He was a punk. Not in a good way. Trendy kind of punk. And that's what Chris Cuomo is. And it's funny to me because Chris Cuomo was called this by, you know, conservative radio. And it was like a minor little viral thing. But it really blew up when some guy recognized him. Hey, you're Frito. And I don't even know if this guy really thought that he was Frito or just was making fun of him or what. But Chris Cuomo got mad, and when you get mad and, like, make a scene, say, "I'll throw you down these stairs," is what Chris Cuomo said. That's like calling a black person the N-word, all mad. That's why Italians don't count as white, in my opinion. Because whites are supposed to be a little bit more pro-freedom of speech. You want to make fun of me? All right, it's a free country. I don't know. Maybe not. But Italians are kind of hot-headed, gangsters, criminal element, so we don't accept them. Or at least we didn't, right? The whites. Same thing with the Italians. I mean, the Irish. They're like Catholics. The Italians are Catholics, so we don't accept them because we're Protestants. Anyways, Chris Cuomo cemented that by making a scene, and then everybody just thinks of him as Frito now because he went viral, well beyond Rush Limbaugh's huge audience, which I haven't heard a whole lot of Rush Limbaugh because I've been busy working, but now it's like totally mainstream. Everybody knows when you think of Frito, you think Chris Cuomo. Maybe it's Fredo, short for Fredo. I don't know. Well, I know in Spanish it's Alfredo, right? Whatever. Sorry if I'm mispronouncing your nickname that you hate, Chris Cuomo, Fredo. But anyways, you know, I was telling you guys about these bow ties. Yeah, like Frito-Lay, Frito. I was telling you guys about these bow ties that I have a beef with, and so if everybody like shows up to the men's conference wearing a bow tie, they're like, "Hey, how do you like this?" I'll be like, "You're making a fool of yourself." I don't care, but I would be a little disgusted. But from what I understand, these bow ties, I used to see Tucker Carlson wearing it, and I guess I've heard from fellow producers here that it's like a New England preppy white boy thing. So that's why Tucker used to do it. He used to wear and I didn't mind Tucker doing it, I guess, because he was like young and funny or whatever. But people wear these things and they're serious about it. And it looks ridiculous to me, especially for like a grown man. I mean, All right, I guess I kind of understand James Carville. Hunt up a picture of James Carville just so people know who he looks like. But then also hunt up a picture of, like, I don't know, a Nation of Islam guy, if you can find one, wearing a bow tie. The blacks wear bow ties, and when I say the blacks, I mean the ones who are into the black thing. And I mean mainly, I think, the Nation of Islam types, which is the Louis Farrakhan types, Black Hitler. And I don't know which one I'm insulting worse, honestly, when I call him that. I mean, I know that there's James Carville, but he's not wearing a bow tie there. But anyways, that's James Carville. That's what he looks like. He is wearing a pink tie, and it's not tight very tightly. But anyways, that's James Carville. And I think of him as being a Clinton guy. But these Nation of Islam types, they wear this bow tie because it's supposed to be this. You see this necktie that James Carville is wearing, a necktie which is long and it goes down to like your belly button. There he is with the bow tie. I guess he's just old school, so I cut him slack. But which he is. I kind of like his southernness or wherever that accent is that he has. But this bow tie thing is a reaction against the necktie, and necktie being long and goes down to your belly button. Or whatever, the top of your belt buckle, or further, if you're Trump. But that thing is supposed to be like a noose, and so the blacks don't want it to seem like a noose because they're triggered by the notion of lynchings, because blacks were lynched or something. So there's a picture I'm showing you, or Joel is showing you, thank you, of these Nation of Islam guys wearing these dumb red, or one of them is plaid, bow ties. Because they don't want to look like they're wearing a noose. Isn't that ridiculous? It doesn't even look quite right to me. Maybe in another generation it would look right. You know how fashion goes out of fashion, comes back in. But I don't know. What do you think about bow ties? I can't imagine Joel being for bow ties.
I never even thought about getting a bow tie.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You always just think, when you think of formal, you think tie.
Right. Yeah.
It would be weird seeing Trump in a bow tie.
Yeah, that is true. Although, aren't tuxedos bow ties? They're a type of a bow tie, right?
Right.
That's a little different, though.
But it's rare that you even see people wear...
And it doesn't look as silly.
Right.
Yeah. But you're right. It is... They're just trying to be different. But yeah, it's because they're into the black thing and falling for the, lynchings. Whatever. Anyways, that's my little rant. Let me get to Jose out of Texas. Jose, thanks for holding, man. What's up?
Hey, what's going on?
Good to hear from you.
Yeah. Hey, you were mentioning the video of the Hispanic. He was talking about his kid, or he was crying.
Yeah.
Much,
Yep.
like a little sissy. And
right.
And then that guy was like, what exactly did he say?
He's all, why didn't you stay in Mexico?
Yeah. I thought that was hilarious when I saw that.
Right.
Yes. And then a lot of people crying about it, but
you need to leave. Stupid white women. Or whatever type of women they were. Maybe they weren't officially white.
But yeah, that was really funny.
Yeah. And it was like a logical thing to say. That's like sanity. That's like the voice of reason.
Yeah. And also that bow tie thing, I was listening.
Yeah.
And I probably heard that once. I remember. And then but like today I was like, what do you have about bow ties? And then all of a sudden, I mean, have they said it? That it was the necktie represents the noose?
I must have read it somewhere. I must have read it on, when I used to be producer, I would read a lot of liberal, like Huffington Post or something like that. So maybe or on Black Twitter or something. I must have seen it or heard it at one point.
Yeah.
And that concept just stuck with me.
Right. Because I was thinking, today, like I was like, is James a conspirator, theorist,
right.
Stuff like that. And then you start mentioning that, and then all of a sudden you revealed it, and I'm like, this guy, he's one of those truth tellers, stuff like that. Like he's always researching,
Yeah.
And then you get on your show, you start like, hey, this. It's like, hell yeah. Oh, I love it. It's funny.
It's funny, man. I mean, I'm not that serious about it, but if I see it on, like, if I'm watching cable news, which I don't necessarily recommend, but if I see a guy and especially if he's black and he's wearing a bow tie, that's what I'm thinking. I'm thinking, oh, this is one of those suckers who fell for the black thing. What a shame.
That's cool that you see stuff like that.
Yeah.
You know, because I still, you know, like me, I see stuff, but I don't know. I guess it doesn't click yet. But then all of a sudden I hear your show or I hear other shows on YouTube, and I'll think click, like, whoa, how did you? And you guys go into your, you know, your spill and like, oh man, that makes sense.
Maybe it's because we're so judgmental, and then we're like always scheming on what to talk, something to talk about.
I'm judgmental, but I think with judgment, you know, you don't know how to say it, you know.
Right.
Like how I'm speaking about me. I don't know how to say it.
Right.
You know, but there's something there. But you, I don't think you're like. I mean, you're discerned about it. Like Jesse said, you're discerning about it, and you're able to elaborate into it.
That's generous.
I don't think you're very judgmental. You just know how to discern from it. It's awesome. It's amazing.
I appreciate that, Jose. That's cool.
Yeah, man. Oh, and also, so then now you and Joel are single.
Right.
I mean, are you guys going? Like, like going out, to mingle with the ladies or what?
I think Joel might do that. Actually, I don't know if I haven't heard of him doing that lately, but I know before he had the boo-boo, he would go out, He would go, and you know what? It's so funny because you wouldn't hear me get caught dead saying boo-boo, but now that it's like the name has stuck, I can't help but say it. But
so what's the plan? I mean,
we got to get out there. That's true.
Yeah. I mean, do you think just talk to them?
Yeah. Appreciate.
These ladies, they need real men. Man.
That's true, man. Yeah,
like,
we got.
They're all complaining and stuff like that, and it's like, girl, I know what you want.
Right. Yeah, that's one of the pitfalls of getting into like work too much or getting too into the churchy thing. When you don't really go out there and actually get tested, like, and I don't mean tested for STDs or anything like that.
No,
I mean,
tested with the ladies. They have to, because that's what they do. They testing. Alpha.
They test you.
They're testing.
Right.
That's it's a good thing. It's how you look at. Yeah, it's how you look at everything.
Yeah, and it's so funny because they can break guys down, and you see them just turn straight into betas. And it's funny because like the whole group of friends will see like this guy is whipped now. Their one friend with the girl is whipped now, and it's such a shame too because then that kind of scares the other guys away from even wanting to get with the girl because they don't want to end up that happening to them rather than facing it and overcoming it.
Yes.
What a shame.
Do it, man.
It messes with your mind. Interesting points, Jose. I appreciate that, man.
Okay. All right, man.
Good to hear from you.
Good talking to you, man.
All right. Take care.
Later.
Guys, make sure that you have your beginning of fall open because we will be announcing the upcoming celebration of the 30th anniversary of Bond. Jesse Lee Peterson founded Bond in February 1990, and this past Sunday was the 30th anniversary of Bond having been started. Originally founded with the aim of helping the blacks, and then quickly realized that all people, all men and women and children, but all men need rebuilding. And it's only gotten worse, but there are guys who throughout the years have woken up, whatever, and overcome. That's cool. And it's nice to see a lot of you guys doing it. I appreciate that. And I was thinking about, and I might have made this point, my call with that guy who turned a little nasty towards me. I think it was on Monday or Sunday. Mike from San Diego. I called him the White Snake, and that got into my the title of the podcast, White Snake. he said, like, where's the evidence of people waking up? And there is evidence of people waking up if you're paying attention. And he made the point that they're all weird. And I said, but everybody you know is weird. And he's thought about it. That's true. And I said, like, I don't know if I said it, but including yourself, Mike from San Diego. And it's kind of honestly pots and kettles, him calling these people weird. But just paying attention to what he said, what he says, what Jesse Lee Peterson says and how he is, it's just night and day. You're going to hear an interview soon, or you'll witness an interview soon on the Fallen State with a man, purportedly a man, right? He is a male, a grown adult male, right? Adult human male, as that dumb guy, Kyle Kulinski of Secular Talk, describes men. Debating with Jesse and accusing Jesse Lee Peterson of being insecure and stuff like that. And meanwhile, like, you're looking at them, you're listening to them, and Jesse's being solid. This guy is being insecure, but he's accusing Jesse of being insecure because of his opinions about women and blacks and stuff like that. So it's just an interesting thing. So if you can see that, I don't know how you can be blind to thinking that, oh, it's just a cult. There are people who make a cult out of anything. They'll make a cult out of the truth. Christianity has become a cult. Like, you hear some of the guys in the Periscope and calling into Jesse's show and my show sometimes. Jesse Lee Peterson calls them Bible thumpers. I call them, because I try to be different, but it's not just because I try to be different. It's because I think that this is how I would describe it, Bible pushers. Like, people who push knowledge like they're addicted to it, like it's their drug, and like they get their pride from it, and they cling on to it, these Bible verses, and they're not even really comprehending what the Bible says, because if they were, they would realize that Jesse Lee Peterson is quite biblical, the stuff that he preaches. It may be a different focus today from what it was back then, but the times are different today from what it was back then. So men were considered men at 12, 13 years old during Jesus' time. They weren't beta males. I mean, they were, but they weren't like, it was a totally different time. Just something to consider. Anyway, speaking of that, CNN reports, and I do like to report from CNN sometimes. Just bear with me. I click on Drudge and CNN, two real news outlets, and some of you guys are just shaking your heads. But 66,000, this is here in Los Angeles, marijuana convictions in Los Angeles County will be dismissed. Thanks, or really no thanks, I don't know, in part to new laws intended to relieve pot convictions in light of the statewide legalization of recreational marijuana in 2016. And to me, that's just, you're openly disrespecting the law and that says something about you. And there's a lot of laws that we hear, we're like, oh, this is a dumb law. But you still, if it's, as long as you can, as much as you can, follow the law, even if, as long as it's not an evil law, right? So I think that it's only encouraging the bucking of real authority. There is real authority, and then there's the fake authority. So I don't see this as a positive thing. And you know who else is who's behind it? Of course, Democrats. So nothing that they do is right. Even if they try to say something that you happen to agree with, don't go along with them. Still say the thing that you agree with, but stand on your own apart from them, because they are gonna use that issue and just wreak havoc in the world. Like, you see the homelessness, the druggies, the mental and spiritual illness just rampant around LA. So anyways, just wanted to put that out there to you guys. By the way, Enrique Iglesias and Anna Kournikova, the tennis player woman, they welcomed their third child, and CNN claims without evidence that they're going to be some talented kids. Barf. Enrique Iglesias is that Hispanic singer guy who wants to be your hero baby. All right, guys. And ladies, happy Valentine's Day to the ladies. And take care, everybody. Catch me on Azzmador's show. And make sure you're following The Fallen State and Bond Rebuilding the Man YouTube channel for Church with Jesse Lee Peterson on Sunday. And I am live on my channels, The Hake Report, Sunday mornings, 9 a.m. from Los Angeles time. TheHakeReport.com. Thanks, guys. Take care.